All right, so where letter D was more about discrete data, E and F are both about continuous data. So we're going to start with, well, E is group discrete, and then F is going to be continuous. But so we look at a local kindergarten is concerned about the number of vehicles passing by, probably when school's starting. So over 30 days, they record the data. And it just doesn't make sense to look at each individual discrete value. There's just too many singletons. So what they do is they group it. Now, sometimes you get the option of how to group it. And so usually you want 5 to 8 classes. Okay? Class intervals, that's right here, is what you're in between. All right? Now, typically, you don't want any overlap here. So you can't have it 0 to 10 and 10 to 20, because then where do you put 10? You put it here or here. So we're going to have 10 values in each data in the class interval. From 0 to 9 is one class, from 10 to 19. And so you just need each class interval to go up big enough to include all the data points. Then you create your tally, you look at your frequency. So instead of a mode, there's a modal class if it's grouped. Modal class is if it's grouped, it's just the class with the highest frequency. Then we do our column graphs for the group discrete data. So remember, if it's discrete, this is really important. If it's discrete, there's still a gap in between each one. Okay? So that's why it's important to know, is it discrete or continuous? And so everything else is pretty much the same. It's just that it's group data versus individual. And that's really all that we've got for section E. All right, so section F, continuous data can be a little bit confusing at first. We just need to kind of establish it. First of all, notice in a column graph, there's gaps in between here. I would say this is your discrete. There are no gaps in a histogram. Column graphs, there is space in between each one. A histogram is combined because it's all connected. That's your continuous data. So that's why it's really important when you're using a histogram, you're displaying continuous data, and you can still see your modal class is still your highest. Okay. All right, so let's look at this example. So a sample of 20 juvenile lobsters randomly selected from a tank. And this is showing the length of each lobster. This is a measurement, so that means it's continuous. All right. And so a lot of times it's helpful. Let's spot the smallest value. This is a 3.1. We have 3.7. All right. So then what's the highest one? 7.2. Is there a bigger? Oh, 7.3. So we need to have between 3 and 7. So why don't we say we can be between 3, this is the length of the lobster, and 4. We can have between 4 and 5, between 5 and 6. So notice how I'm doing this. I'm including the value on the left, but everything up to 4, but not including 4 on the right. 6 and 7 and 7 and 8. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes so that fits. Remember, you want between 5 and 8 is acceptable amount of classes. You don't want to have them too small or too big. Okay. So now we're going to look at our value. So we're going to have a frequency value. All right, so 4.9, that's here, 5.6, 7.2, 6, 3, 4, 6, 5, 3.7, 7.3, another 6, 5.4, 4.2, 6, 4.7, 5.8, 4, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have our frequency, 3, 6, 5, 4, 2. All right. Organize the data, hence means using what you just did, graph the data. All right, so because we're starting at 3, I'm going to go make a little break here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hopefully yours is a little straighter than mine. Mine's really kind of out of whack. Then we have to get up to 6 is our highest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was a little bit better. 1, 2, 3. All right. All right. So between 3 and 4, that's a 3. And this is what's important because this is continuous. Where this one leaves off, this one starts up. So that's why I'm going to leave this here. This goes up to 6. So this just is a continuous data. All right. 5 is 5. 5 to 6. 6 to 7 is 4. And then 7 to 8 is 2. All right. So we've got everything organized in first our frequency table and then the graph. Now we can kind of analyze our information. It says state the modal class and explain what this means. Okay, so the modal class is always what? The highest. So this is, and it's a modal class. Modal just means it's continuous. Let me make some room. So this is between 4 and 5. Okay. That just means that more lobster have lengths in this interval than any other interval. It's just the most lobsters, that's where they fit. That's where the lengths of them fit. Describe the distribution. All right, here's our mode, and then our tail goes to the right. So that means it's positively skewed. And that's our continuous data.